about it at the start of the programme. But this has been a long time coming for these fans that have been through so many, I would say, ups and downs, but really since the Premier League, yeah, we were there, we got to the Championship final, they were just a penalty shootout away, but it's been really tough.
Yeah, and I think if we use Leicester as almost a shadow of what Coventry are, Leicester have gone from winning the Premier League in 10 years ago to obviously dropping down to League One. The job that Coventry have done over the last 10 years, from League 2 to League 1 to Championship, and now back to the Premier League. What a fantastic job that Frank Lampard has done as he takes his step forward.
Yeah, Frank Lampard getting quite the reception. Joby, I just wanted to ask you quickly, if you can hear me, you dipped your toe into management. Like, it's not just turning up on a Saturday and writing the team on the back of a piece of paper. How different is it than playing?
Absolutely, you could get nothing further away from playing. As an individual, all you worry about is yourself. When you're a manager, it's 24/7. You cannot switch off. It consumes every minute of every day, and that's why, even from the short stint I did, I have certainly got a greater understanding of those challenges and a greater respect, I think, for Michelle, for the actual how hard the job can be at times.
How hard, Curtis, is it to assemble these faces, let's be honest, we might not be as familiar with, but they're so important to Frank Lampard and so important to this club, his backroom staff?
Yeah, it's massive, and you know, I was speaking about Jody Morris earlier being in his first staff. You know, he's no longer working with Jody, so he maybe thought the way that he wanted to move forward was in a different direction. He's obviously brought in Joe, who was at Chelsea with him, working with the young lads in a similar role to what Jody did before, and he's kept Chris Jones, and from there he's worked with a lot of the other backroom staff that have been at Coventry. Fantastic job that they've all done in the background.
And I think that's the other thing that's probably endeared him to the players and the fans, because he's been so humble, Frank. It's not just about me, it is my staff, it is the chairman, it is Mark Robbins, who he's been incredibly complimentary and rightfully so about. And again, I think it's very, very easy for him to be walking around here like, I'm the hero, I'm the gaffer, which again we do see at times throughout the game. But I think that humility, given what he did as a player, that's what brought him so much of a buy-in from those players and the fans here.
Jay, these players coming out now, a lot of them featured a lot through the season, but if you haven't featured so much, what's this moment like for the players that maybe did have to take more of a back seat?
Like I said before, Michelle, it's a squad now. That's what it's all about. You're never, ever going to keep 11 players on the pitch for the whole season. You know, every player's going to go through tough times. Every player's going to probably have injuries. It's not easy out there, but it's all about the team. And when you see some of the players now that haven't played as much, one thing they have been is great for the changing room. Yeah. And that's what it's all about, especially the experienced players.
And ultimately, there's an element of, again, you've been part of it, you have been part of it, every one of them have been part of it, so you've got to enjoy this moment. There always will be in the back of your head if you're out of contract or whatever, there's going to be inklings and niggling things that go on, but you're going to enjoy this moment, you're going to enjoy it with your mates that you've worked so hard to get here today, and then you worry about the rest after, because having been part of this, your CV's not going to be bad after this, is it, anyway?
Yeah, I guess, let's be honest, some of these players aren't going to be here next season, yeah. They're not going to be featuring. That must be some mixed emotions.
Listen, I think first and foremost your focus is on trying to achieve something special as a group, which they have done, and I think those squad players, the ones who haven't had as many minutes, sometimes actually harder for them because they're not getting really what you want, which is playing on a Saturday. But they've obviously kept the standards absolutely through the roof. The only reason you get this consistency is every single day at the training ground, everybody's pushing each other, pushing the starters, and I think those squad players, they have played a huge part in this success, whatever their futures may be.
We just saw Brandon Thomas-Asante come out. I just wonder from a striker's point of view how impressed you've been with where he's come from in his career and to feature so heavily in a season like this.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to him before, and you know, he's a fantastic player. He plays with a great appetite. You know, sometimes that rawness that comes into the leagues, you look at that and say, you know what, it's just effective. Yeah. But when you see the way his games come on, he's got a great understanding with the other attackers. He can play on the right, he can play on the left. He's played as a number 10. He's got pace, he plays with intelligence. He's been fantastic for Frank Lampard and Coventry this season. But back to what you were saying about the squad, the depth in the squad. I just feel like when you look at all the players, most players are not going to win things in their careers. Yeah. So yes, there's going to be some players leaving, but they will never forget this day. Yeah. This day will be in their memories forever. They'll talk about it to their grandkids, and that's what football's all about, moments.
Given how this club is now being run, Curtis, and we're seeing the players come out one by one here, all to great ovations. I hope you can hear this back home. It really is electric in here. Given how it's
Well, it's really interesting because, listen, we've seen what Sunderland did. They went and spent big to stay in the Premier League, and they've done the best out of all the teams promoted last year. We've seen what Burnley did. Burnley almost kept it quite similar, added a couple, have ended up going down, and then we see what Leeds did. Leeds were a bit more in between, you know, but they replaced some players that were, so in terms of Tanaka in the Premier League, hasn't played as much as he wanted, but was a massive player in the Championship. Frank's going to have those tough decisions to make, but you know, that guy there that we're speaking about, the owner, there's going to be some tough conversations over the next few weeks about, you know, where are we spending the money, what money are we going to have to spend, and how much are we going to push this club on to make sure that we're not a one-season wonder and we can make sure we sustain it.
But that's the thing, I think the way the game is going now, you have to look at it and you have to say, you have to spend money in order to stay in the Premier League.
Okay, well, almost all the squad now are standing on that plinth, coming out one by one. They're getting all set for this trophy lift, which will be lifted by their captain. So let's get back to the best on the gantry, Don Goodman and Daniel Mann, to take us through it.
Yes, emerging and soaking up acclaim individually, the Coventry City players and coaches who have made it happen. However big a part they may have played, they've all played an important part, including Miguel Brau there, who's had a muscle problem recently that has ruled him out. Dean Austin, the head of recruitment there. It's a relatively quiet summer here. They needed a head of retention more than a head of recruitment, but some crucial work done, particularly in the goalkeeping department. And for Oliver Dovin, sadly for him, it's been a watching brief all season. And Bell, one whose time may yet come, we shall see. And sadly, Tatsuhiro Sakamoto not able to play a part on the pitch today, and there's Yang Min-hook, who's played a little part on loan from Tottenham, one of the January recruits. So here we go. Well, he may have dreamed of this moment for a long, long time, but it's about to arrive. Well, that wasn't the prize back in 1967, but it is the prize now, a trophy that has been lifted by some of the greatest names in the game. And that special privilege is about to befall Matt Grimes. And if ever anyone richly deserved that honour, it is he. The questions about who can cut it at the higher level are for another day. It's been a story of dejection, despondency, dislocation, heartaches aplenty. But a club that has become reunited with its public. Mark Robbins, one of those who's played a part. But once again, the Sky Blues are sky high. A 25-year wait, which has felt eternal, during which they have felt at times that they may not have a club in Coventry. They literally didn't for a couple of periods, off to Sixfields and St Andrews, but they're very much at home, at their home once again, in Coventry, the Coventry Building Society Arena. And these are moments to drink in for every single one of them, wherever their immediate future may lay.
Well, we've watched this journey, haven't we? Right back when they were in League Two, in the doldrums, playing at Northampton and St Andrews, as you've already alluded to. And for this moment, for these players, these don't come around often. You've got to really, really enjoy it. And to put it into context, this is a club that's been run on a wage budget that is in the bottom third of the Championship. Let me just say that again, the bottom third wage budget, only the sixth non-parachute payment team to get promoted automatically. So it's been so well run by Doug King and so well managed over the course of this season by Frank Lampard. The players have given their all and the fans deserve this moment.
Well, The good times have never felt so good. They've endured so much that they will enjoy this all the more because of that.